Aloha, hello, hello, hi, it is me, it is I, Small Town Didi, Yarachadi on these your internet, Akastracha, I'm back, hello, yala, somber, isn't that just, okay, I don't care about grace, there's nothing I have nothing to say about grace, because I don't think there's anything to say about grace. Okay, great. Let's get into why we're actually here. Women for Change, an organization that raises awareness and deals with gender-based violence and, femicide in here, South Africa, our land, and what have you. I did that like that because we say it with such pride and glee, like it's so amazing things are happening for us here, and oh my god, anyway, they are in the process of putting together a national shutdown ahead of the G20 summit that will be held in Mzansi on the 22nd of November. So the shutdown is on the 21st of November. Let me confirm my shit that I'm saying here. Yeah. Before I get copyrighted. On 21st November 2025, you can take part by doing one or more of the following. Don't work, don't spend money, join the 15-minute standstill by laying down for 15 minutes at 12 p.m. to honor the 15 women, it's cut off, I can't read that, murdered every day and bring South Africa to a complete standstill. Wear black to stand in mourning and resistance. Change your profile picture to purple to make the shutdown visible online. Click here to download a purple background. Share, and share. Okay, so those are some of the things that you can do on the day to stand in solidarity, but also to be a voice for yourself if you're a woman in this country, and be an ally if you don't identify as a woman in this country, but you are aware that we are in crisis right now, and we have been for some time. Now there's been chatter around it, and I just changed my profile picture, just did. It says that, yeah, people are changing ahead of time and stuff to the build up, sort of, to this thing. But it says here, I got online and then it was purple everywhere. I don't know what was going on. I had a lot going on and stuff. And then when I came back on, there were takes on takes of people and the whole, it's a performance. It's performative activism. It's this, it's that. It's like, you're not going to win with anything in this day and age. And I think maybe let's revisit the conversation of what then counts as being a real activist, or because we exist online, as it were, and to mobilize, which is important to bring about change, right? We need to mobilize, agitate the ground, get bodies to the protests and stuff. These are the avenues that are of today that people use to do what must be done to get those numbers, so that that we can amplify the message that we're trying to get out and hopefully inch towards a real impact, a real change. I am hoping that what we're trying to do is address legislation for harsher punishment, because I understand, yes, abolition, shout out to y'all. I'm not one, because I don't, I live in a very violent place, and I haven't seen rehabilitation really take root where I exist. I can't, it's such an abstract construct to me, or an idea that I simply cannot get a hold of it. I'm somewhat, in some spaces, I'm open to the idea, but when you exist in femicide South Africa, it becomes hard to do that. So it feels like our only avenue is to advocate for, or to push for the agenda. If we're agenda setting now, right? If Women for Change is saying this is what we're trying to do to have long-term change, right? We need to start lobbying, right? We need to get laws changed. If we have harsher punishments, we would hope that those punishments would serve as deterrents. If we're saying that the courts should not, like it's like, oh, you could get between this and this, they always give them the most minimum of the sentence, and then they get out on good behavior, and before you know it, they're out in the streets with us. I have somebody in my life whose aunt was taken, whose lives, like his aunt's life was cut short because of a man, and he runs into that man almost every other day because they live in the same area. The man served a little bit of time, but he's out now living his life. The aunt's no more. The aunt hasn't been no more. The aunt's not there. And he's like, every time I see him, I cannot believe it. Like, I can't believe it. And I understand that we're saying people should not be held, like people are not their mistakes, and that people should not be, like, you can't punish somebody forever for something that they did. But for things like this, I think we should. I think it should really be an eye for an eye, and I feel no way about that type of stuff, because I feel we exist in a world where men respond to this. They understand punitive measures more than they understand anything else. That said, from what I'm understanding, Women for Change is trying to push for the government to recognize GBV and femicide as national disasters. And if you're going to assign something that category, you must also then start to channel a kind of funding to address the issue that way. So those of you who are asking what real impact is this going to have, what's really going to change, if they are to say that it is this thing, they need to treat it as such, okay? Resources need to start being allocated that way. And it's one thing at a time. Changing laws is not an overnight thing. But if we continue to support organizations like this and continue to say when they have things that they want us to show up for, we show up for these things and we stand in unison and we say, this is what the fuck we're saying, this is what the fuck we mean, we may actually start to get the change that we want. I understand that we're existing in a space right now where we are feeling very disenfranchised, and in a way, I think about even voting, our attitudes around voting, you know, it's like we just feel so hopeless and feel so not in control and in charge, and all our problems feel so much bigger than us that it feels like anything you're doing means nothing, it will amount to nothing, you may as well leave it. And okay, I thought I was hearing something. What I'm trying to tell you is it's apathy, right? That's the experience that you're having, that what's fine now. Like, that's not going to bring about any change. In fact, the people who like to do these things to us, especially those sitting in positions of power who are themselves perpetrators in other people's lives, right? They want you to be empathetic about your own existence and feel so helpless, so detached, so far from it that you're like, I can't fix it anyway, so I may as well leave it. That's not a solution. The critique of online activism not being real activism because you don't have any real skin in the game, we think of what it is to be an activist in yesteryears, where you end up at a police station, where you end up in an unmarked grave, and you do it still, understanding that I may end up in these situations, but you're so convicted in your cause, you know, that you're like, it's whatever, like you're saying, it's whatever. And because we feel like those aren't the stakes, we tend to trivialize the efforts that are made online to raise awareness and also to mobilize, right? We're always trying to see, and I don't blame us, right? We've been duped so many times. I really don't blame anybody who's like, it just feels too, but now's not the time to be dwelling on semantics, okay? Now's not the time to be trying to nitpick at, okay, but what real change are we? What real awareness? Don't underestimate that. Okay, and I think my living in a township, like the fact that I'm still in this area, as much as I don't always want to be here, there's a lot of shit that I feel like I'm missing out on in life and all of that stuff. I feel like I am existing in somewhat of like the, what's the word I'm looking for? My existing in the space is me being in the real South Africa. I'm not suggesting that if you're in your high-rise apartment or your nice whatever, that you're not in the real South Africa. What I'm trying to communicate to you is that the average South African woman is existing in like a reality where these things are so normal. If you're existing in a space where you feel like, oh, I just want to partner a person like that, right? You have the mobility to feel like I wouldn't have to depend on a man for anything like that. I'm not the type to be putting up with a man who's beating me because of money, blah, blah. By the way, this could happen to you. It's more likely that it's going to happen to somebody with less means, yes, but that does not mean that women who've done well for themselves don't find themselves in abusive situations. All right, if you are feeling an inch removed from these realities, the situation with Tiamo and Baliseng, right? Is it Balisang? The two young girls who were shot by a guy named Deboro in Tembisa, like a couple of weeks ago at this point. That situation of a much older man creeping up and grooming a young girl at the tail end of high school, or even not, right? And then she becomes locked in this weird little, I don't know when they started, but I'm speaking to what I see around me. It's very normal in the society that I exist in. Even if there's some pushback in the beginning, there's some pushback in the beginning where it's like, oh, you can't be with that older man. He knows the things to do to entice you, especially if you're coming from lack. That's what grooming is, right? That's the average South Africa. That's the average existence, right? Because of the inequality we have in our country. If we're constantly going to talk about how, for the most part, Black people are still living in so much poverty. If we're going to have that conversation, we must account for all the things that get born out of poverty. And violence against women is one of those things. When women are finding themselves in situations where they are going without, where there is dire need, they stand a very great chance of being taken advantage of in those spaces just for survival. That's South Africa, you guys. If you can account for the fact that most Black people are still the face of poverty and most Black people are still living in somewhat... I live in this township and I've had more opportunities than some people in this township, or most of the people in this township, right? And I've been exposed to other things, but I'm still back here. So, and I see the things that are happening around me and stuff. When I see the stories, I'm not even shocked. I'm not shocked because in my own ghetto, every other weekend, it's, oh, and guys, I'm not playing with you. The same guy in a village not far from me who allegedly murdered somebody was out on bail. The day I was getting my curls put in my hair right before grad, he was getting drinks. He was like getting drinks and he was with another hun. Like, not as a, like, this is our land. I can't. Now is not the time to be trying to talk around, but is it activism or is it performative activism? It is a conversation we can have, right? Because we also don't want people using us, using our plight to grow audiences, grow relevance, possibly profit. Like I said, we've been getting duped by people starting all types of fundraisers, and then we hear that the funds ended up doing this, or GoFundMe here, and then we learn whatever. So then those things make you feel like nothing is legit, like make you feel like you can't really, trust what's really going on there. There's plenty of things you can do here that won't take away money from you if you feel like you don't trust what's going on. Go sign the petitions, do the donations if it's something that you're comfortable doing. I also feel like I've seen some people push back against this as well, though, I must say that. But I've also seen people say, somebody asked something in the comments and somebody's like, oh, we can't reply to you because you still haven't changed your profile picture to purple. And I think it was tongue-in-cheek and whatever. But I want us to be careful as well to not, that's where it becomes performative, right? People feel like, oh, let me just do it because, oh my God, I don't want the people to say I'm not, and I'm saying we need to give those people room so we can know who they are. The people who are very vocal and not necessarily from a point of view of feeling like I've been duped before by this activist shit and I'm not trying to fall for it a second time. I have my reservations about what's really going on here. Some people have legitimate concerns from being burned or just from observing, from whatever. They're real things, right? And then there's also the fact that because we exist in a patriarchy and we're groomed a certain way, there is still a big group of women who believe that you must have done something. The same way they look at the situation and think, why were those young girls with that much older man, and don't account for the grooming that may have taken place, right? For the coercion that definitely took place just by that age gap alone, right? We can assume there was coercion there. And all of that. There's still people who feel like women need to qualify their abuse. They need to audition for their victimhood to them and so that they can certify it like you're a real victim. Like, oh, this is real rape. This is really not your fault. You were really, really innocent. You didn't do anything to tame to that man. Because we're existing in such a conservative country. So trying to push people and bully people into playing along for the sake of it, not worth it. Let them be. That's what they want to do. I saw that these fucking demonic losers, I don't even want to address this. I don't want to give it any kind of, but like, ill. Okay. The boys have put up green profile pictures as a counter, if I could say, I don't know, saying that, oh, men. Do you guys remember during the mental health stuff for the men? I was like, crickets. I don't hear these people. I don't hear them because even they don't give a shit about them. Men only care about hurting women. They don't really care about their own existence, like their actual plight, things actually affecting them, because those things are tethered to their privilege. They are tethered to the patriarchy or the perceived privilege, right? That eventually ends up eating at them, and it's like a vicious cycle. We've tried to explain this. We are exhausted. I can't. I don't care. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I don't give a like, I am not part of the people who wants the men to understand how this harms them. I've said to you guys, men know to a degree that they're being harmed, but they feel like you being harmed far more than they are, so they're willing to like maintain the status quo. Like, they are not gonna change that just for a little reprieve for them. Fuck no. To them, that's relinquishing any kind of power, authority, anything of that nature that they have over you. So I don't care to explain this to them. They've changed their fucking losers, right? Like, trying to hijack the color green. Like, the fuck out of here, okay? Like, really, like Mother Earth's entire fit. Like, get the fuck out, okay? Why don't you use red? Why don't you use red for the fire that you come from? And that fucking pit that you all are from? Why don't you use a little flame with a pitchfork? Oh, I can't fucking stand them. Shit. But anyway, they have a green profile picture talking about how they're human, they aren't ATMs. I don't even know what else they're saying. I can't hear it. Like, it's drowned out by all the names we have to say out loud every day of all the women who lose their lives at the hands of one of these creatures. Like, I haven't even heard what the fuck they're actually saying. It's not... This is a national crisis. I feel like maybe some other people feel like they're not on board because they feel like the status that we're trying to assign this crisis isn't that, like, we're being hyperbolic in our approach, in our speech to want to assign. But like, what else is killing a sect of a demographic of society at the same rate? And for what exact reason? What if men were dropping like flies at the hands of insert whatever? Would it be a crisis? And insert whatever that could be avoided. I don't even know, guys. I know I said that harsher punishments and stuff and longer jail terms and all of that stuff. I don't even know if those things will serve as a deterrent enough, because even now when women want to go report cases of things that have happened to them, they talked out of it and out of using words like, oh, you're going to ruin his life. Do you really want him to go to jail? Jail is so rough and he's going to be in there for 5 years and blah, blah, blah. It's already used as another weapon to make women feel bad about looking out for themselves. So I can only hope that it will serve as a deterrent, because men, again, respond to punitive measures. Hence why they dish out like punishment the way they do, discipline the way they do. Hence why, like, they respond to violence. It's a language they speak. That's why they do it to us. So when they understand that they're afraid of each other. Oh, boys don't like drama. Boys aren't confrontational. Boys exist with the knowledge of the constant threat of other men. And they know to avoid that conflict because they understand that somebody ends up in a body bag. It's none of this, oh, we just respect each other so fucking much. They too exist under the threat of violence by a bigger, better, stronger, richer man. They also exist in that reality, even if they don't say that. Why they don't have depths in their friendships as well, that thing requires discomfort and confrontation and working through an issue. They lack the tools to work through that stuff because it's not manly to work through that stuff. So the escalation is so quick from, hey dude, this thing bothered me, to uskantela, to klapa, to a knife, to a body bag, to prison. Very short. And that's why they avoid the being confrontational, and that's why there's no depth there, because they exist like they're in community with violence. Like it's an ever-present force where they exist, and they are hyper aware of it. So they understand the language that is violence. It governs how they work around each other. It governs how they interact with each other. So you can only hope that responding to their violence with violence, or the threat of violence, because prison is violent. So if we're threatening them with harsher prison sentences, right? And now that we're back here about prison sentences, we're going to have to talk about trying to discourage young women into going into law. The judiciary is littered, and I mean littered, with men who are demons in their own personal capacities in their own lives, who go home and are the perpetrators, and that's why they give the kind of sentences that they do. So the face of the person handing down the judgment, the politics of the person handing down the judgment needs to change as well. So there's no such thing. We gotta stop. I know it's cute right now. Everybody's like, oh my God, that's so useless. Do a STEM degree. And I keep telling you guys that there's no such thing. Every area that we go into, every space that we interact in, every space where we go into and we seek help, hospitals, the education system, the judicial, the fact that you are going to go into a space and need help in that space There needs to be transformation in that space. And if the face of that space continues to be male, we're fucked. Okay? We gotta stay in school. That's the other form of activism that you guys can do. Because I know, guys, it feels like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. I don't know what to do. Getting involved with the local charities in your area that do, you know, the groundwork, the grassroots type of organizations that go to schools, that give the public talks, that encourage the girls to stay in school, the pad drives, the things like that. You have no idea the kind of impressions that a successful somebody showing up at the school that they went to in the village, showing up at the school looking like the picture of success, because children respond to things like that. They do. Showing up and saying the right things in those spaces. You can't underestimate the kind of impact that you're having in that moment. Even if it's that one girl, that one girl is worth you making that time to go. Don't feel so dismayed. Like it is a tidal wave. It feels like it's so huge because it is so huge. Hence why we're saying it's a national disaster. That's why it's not us being fucking extra. Goddamn shit. Do you understand? It feels like, oh, it's too much. And people having the nerve to say pages like Women for Change, like, oh, it's so traumatic. Or I feel band traumatizer, they keep posting blah, 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 blah. Why aren't you wanting to be part of the movement that's going to bring down that posting? Right? Instead of looking away or saying you're so like overwhelmed by this and you are fatigued by all of this violence that they keep posting and stuff, let's try to be part of the people that help to bring it down. And then there's less to post. And then eventually there's nothing to post there because we've managed to fix this problem, which I don't think we will completely, but there's gotta be something that we can do. And this may be a start, right? Encouraging the young girls in your life to stay in school, talking to them, explicitly having very, once they're of age appropriate conversations around men and boys. All of this modeling of, that's why all of this femininity shit, this, and oh my God, that's a bora, because they end, you guys can't, oh, he's the head, he doesn't know what to do for dinner, like he can't head anything. You don't, these conservative things that you guys like to peddle under the guise of that's your culture or that's your faith. A lot of you also are just fucking liars. Okay? I'm so fucking sick of you guys. A lot of you are fucking liars. I wouldn't say I'm a feminist. Actively in your nice car from your nice job, brought to you by feminism. Holding a microphone, wearing trousers in the church, and saying backward things to the young women sitting in that church, telling them to not listen to us feminists. You're not allowed to hold that mic and stand on that pulpit, by the way. Unless the oh my God. I think my memory card is full. But you weren't allowed to do that. How rich of you. But that's all I wanted to say. The boys are losers, but the boys been losers. This we know. I have nothing to say about Grace because there's nothing to say there. Grace is such an uninteresting entity to me. I don't even know how she gets to be so mega. I want to understand it. That's a lie. I don't want to understand that. I don't think there's anything to understand over there. But we're going to, you have time to work through your thoughts around this, to mull over it, and to figure out what resonates with you around the list of things that you may do to stand in solidarity, but also to really advocate for your existence, because you're being eradicated, bitch. It's giving erasure hole. Okay. This is why we always say, like, the women who want to survive the apocalypse, I'm one of the ones who's like, the moment it's apocalyptic, I'm going out. If you don't take me, I'm taking me out. Do you know what happens to women in war zones? We cannot encourage our girls to be in situations that leave them destitute. Stay at home this. What fucking nonsense. What nonsense? you all, it's always something with me, okay, with my devices, and I'm sorry about that. But the point is, all of this femininity stuff that you guys are trying to say to the girls, they must rest in their femininity, men are divinely this, whomever should be taking care of you, rah, rah, rah. You are putting the girls in danger. You're putting the girls in a situation where they don't have their own means, and that puts them in very vulnerable situations for people to take care of them. All of these things are connected, like they loop like that, and you guys want the girls desperate and destitute. Whenever I see any of this, a man is supposed to this, or but my man is different. Your problem is that you haven't found a man to take care of you. Go just wait your fucking turn. He'll switch up on you. Just wait. Be fucking patient. Okay. That's all. Like, really, that's what I really wanted to say to you guys around this. I take your time again deciding if this is something that speaks to you. Don't do it for the vibes, or you think it's the look, and if you don't do it, people are going to be judging you. Some of you, you're doing plenty in your personal lives to show up for women in ways that we don't know. You're doing work, there's plenty that you are involved in where maybe you are one of the people who feel like this is performative at best and you just don't want to take part. It's this and it's that. I would hope you change your mind about that, because my first thing was also to look deeper at it and be like, what's really going on? What are we pushing for? And all of that stuff. But I love you guys. You guys are worth being loved and protected as women all across the globe, as South African women. Like, you deserve to feel safe in this world. Like, this is your only home. There's no other place you're going to escape to, some planet somewhere. And it's not okay that from the time you get here, you are terrified or you're treated like, and then the moment you are aware, it's, listen, you gotta be careful, your uncle so and so, and then it's outside and then it's inside. There's just no space where you feel like you can be safe. And if I'm being honest, I don't have that. Like, there were times in my life where I felt like I had that, like, oh, the men in my family or the men in my life or things like that. But men are men. Like, and you need to be very, very honest with yourself about that reality. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to come around to, especially if you felt like, you know, you got, you know, you picked the better straw, as it were, and you understand the plight of the woman who doesn't even have men in her life who are taking care of whatever. But I see the way that they move around things that hurt us, and how they try to rationalize things they shouldn't, because they are protecting their own access to committing that very thing down the line. And it's disappointing. It's very disheartening. But then existing in a space where I've decided not to make myself the exception to these things helps me to keep my standards when dealing with men, helps me to hold them accountable and not feel like I need to go with the flow, whether or not this is a family member, a friend, or whatever. Have them on edge. Have them knowing that they need to audition for my approval at all times, because this idea that somebody's you're this, they would never do that. Don't be that girl. That's your friend, but that doesn't mean your friend is not doing this and this to that other girl. Okay? I just saw something now. Do you know what stresses me out? It's that brain. I really can't stand the way my brain works. When you have short nail beds and you have those extra long nails, you stress me out. Like, when you're talking, the way I'm handsy, I'm like, oh, she could lose a finger and then a hand. And like, that's all I see. I just see something hazardous, because I could, like, your nail bed is so tiny and you have this long thing hanging, just like structurally it's not sound. So it's stressful to a bitch like me and my brain that's like you'll be talking and I'll be like, so if it breaks, like, I can't fucking hear you. I gotta listen to you like the second time, then I'll be paying attention. But that's the shit that stresses me out. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Bye, Yala.